Good morning. I call the meeting to order at 8:30 a.m. and welcome everyone. In consideration of others and the business conducted today, please silence your phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized by the chair. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora, and we appreciate and respect your presence here this morning. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct roll call?
Good morning. Board Member Jarvis,
Present.
Board Member Davis,
Present.
Board Member Klinger,
Present.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Present.
Chair Snyder.
Present.
Let the record show all board members are here.
Thank you and welcome to your first meeting today with us. Thank you so much. And then, Don, would you please lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Don. Does anyone wish to reorder or add to the agenda? I request a motion. There's none, so.
No motions needed. Go ahead and move on to the next one.
Motions needed at this moment. This is time for public comment. I'm gonna open the public comment period. And now invite, members of the public to address the Business Improvement District Advisory Board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once, both on and off agenda items. All questions should be directed through the presiding officer. This is your time to speak uninterrupted. If you're in attendance, please fill out the speaker card, this one here, and submit it to the recording admin before the close of a public comment period. Once recognized, a speaker should advance to the podium, state your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. If you're participating via Zoom, select the raise hand icon in Zoom before the close the public comment period. Once recognized, you will receive a request to unmute, state your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. I'm inviting those in attendance to speak. I do have a public comment card from Nita Uyo. Thank you, Nita. Welcome.
I've heard my name's right ever. Good morning. Happy June 1st to you. I am here representing the Glendora Police Department and wanted to let you know about our upcoming event. It's not until August, but I thought I would come a couple of times. It's our National Night Out event, and this year we are teaming up with Community Services, so it will be back at Finkbeiner Park. We're teaming up with them because of their movies in the park, so we're really excited about that. They're going to show the movie Zootopia, so that's police theme. And so we'll get there and start everything off at 5:30, and then the movie starts about 8. Where for the first 200 kids that attend, there's going to be the Police Officers Association has provided 200 Kona ice cups, so they'll be able to go over to the truck and get those. This year, it's just city entities. If we move it next year back to the police department, we're going to invite public entities to come. So that's when it would be your opportunity to have a booth for that next time around. So this one hasn't taken place yet, but we're already planning for 2024. You know how that goes. I do have flyers. If you're interested in putting them into your shop windows, please let me know and I'll leave them out here on the counter. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Nita. No
Thank you.
questions. Thank you so much. Do we have any requests from Zoom participants or any other correspondence received?
None received.
Okay, so I'm closing public comment period at this time. Now we're gonna go through board statement reports. I'm gonna invite each member to provide a statement report. Board Member Jarvis?
scheduling for the Friday Night Twilight event is going slowly but surely. We've got a few people signed up for entertainment. And we're still looking for entertainment for the other Friday nights. So if anybody knows anybody, contact me at the Neon Dragon. Thank you.
I heard that there is a group that's trying to kind of put together something similar to this. Have they reached out to you?
No, they have not.
Okay, I'll forward the information, so maybe, we can.
I have the information. Well, I've seen the information online.
Oh, you have seen it,
yeah.
okay, but they haven't contacted you.
No, and it's, yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't know all the details of the event. I would like to speak to them. I think we'll have an opportunity on Monday
Okay.
for that.
Are you in touch with Megan Kay? The lady that helped us coordinate the wine walk?
No.
She seemed like she knew a lot of like groups, musical groups.
Okay.
I'll send you her email.
Okay,
She'd be a great
thank you.
person to connect with. Yeah.
Thank you, Board Member Travis. Board Member Nolan,
No, I have nothing.
Board Member Davis.
Nothing except just, I've been, working with Kathy and, sent a few names of musicians and people over. So
Thank you, Board Member Klinger. And for me, nothing to report. We're gonna close the statement reports at this moment. I'm gonna invite the Community Development Director, Jeff Giggle, and Housing and Economic Development. But Valerie's not here at the time, so just,
No, yeah, Valerie's out today, so,
okay.
yeah, just a couple items to announce. First, the council has approved your budget and assessments and the annual report for fiscal year 23-24. So beginning July 1st, you'll be ready to go with your budget. On July 16th, which is the first, I think, Twilight event, there will also be that night a ribbon cutting for the Mita Avenue and the new plaza improvements, which are nearing completion. And that will be at 6 p.m. on June 16th. So hopefully we'll see all of the bid board there, and the council will be there to cut the ribbon and open those new facilities for the public. And then on June 5th, Monday coming up, is the bid board's bid workshop. And of course, it's a public meeting. All bid members are invited, as well as the public, and that will start at 10 a.m. in the Bidwell Forum. And so we'll see you all there Monday. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you so much. How exciting about the plaza and everything. So thank you. Now I invite President and CEO Joe Sina to report. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joe, President and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce, and I thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. Just a short report. The chamber is finishing our fiscal year at the end of the month, and we will celebrate our outgoing board and install our new board and give out our business awards on Wednesday, June 28th at 6 p.m. at the Glendora Country Club. The business awards that were announced were Business of the Year was the San Gabriel Valley Examiner. Nonprofit of the Year, the Charter Oak Education Foundation. New Member of the Year, True Bowl in Glendora. Sustainable Business of the Year, Athens Services. And the Ambassador of the Year is Catherine Collette of Checklist Travel. So we invite everybody to join us for that. At the Country Club. Tickets are available on our chamber website. We will be installing our new board, which our incoming chair is Bill Rue, the Government Affairs Director for the Citrus Valley Association of Realtors. And then thanking our current chair, Ashley Rosati Kaiser from Athens, for all of her work with her board this past year. Looking forward to next year under Bill's board leadership, we're really going to focus on our advocacy work, because the chamber's one of the most active chambers locally in that realm, and we don't promote it much, and it's by far, I think, one of the most important things that we do we do the promotion, we do the networking, we do all that other stuff, which is great. But the advocacy work really is where the kind of affects all of you. Now, are we successful with everything? No, but we really try our best, and we're in face to face with all of our reps from, local to county, state, federal, and they listen. We even took a trip to Sacramento a couple of weeks ago and sat down in their offices up north to kind of talk about stuff, that we're here, we're listening. We're here for them too, to support things that they're doing that have a positive effect on our local businesses. And if there's something which we're working on a lot of bills right now, there's a lot of negative effect, unfortunately, on businesses. A lot of these bills, different legislators, not our local ones. The local reps have some pretty good stuff. But other, they try to fix one thing, but then that one little fix affects a whole bunch of stuff negatively. So we try to help with that, and we partner with Cal Chamber, US Chamber, the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, the San Gabriel Valley Coalition of Chambers, kind of all together to work on that kind of stuff. So we're really going to kind of feature that more this next year, and get more businesses involved. Because honestly, with a lot of these bills, when our legislators go to vote in September, October, what they're looking at is the stacks of oppose and the stacks of yes. So, and if the stack is higher for oppose, most time they vote oppose. Simple as that. So, and then the other way too. But if they don't, and our reps tell us, if they don't hear anything from anybody, they vote on what they vote on. So we're going to really work to get more people, more businesses involved. One day I would love to go to Sacramento. If there was a bill that was for or against for business, and just come with a stack of letters from our local businesses. These are or a zip drive or a flash drive with something, right? And just, this is what people are saying, but they don't get that. So we're going to really try to push that to kind of let them know that we're here. They do know we're here because we're very vocal, but know that everyone's paying attention. So that's really the important part. So we're working on that. And then also looking at August, Flashback will be back August 19th. We're looking to try to expand it a bit, but we're not there yet with that. So, but other than that, I'll be at your meeting Monday to help in any way we can. And if there's any questions, that's all I have for today.
I have one question.
Sure.
Can you give a specific example of one of the bills that might affect local businesses that you're advocating?
Oh, geez. There's a lot of regulations. It's actually, there's a lot of an actual bill number just slips in my mind. There's a lot of employment based stuff where the employee has all the power, right? And there's several bills, like there's a franchise bill for one. Let's think of that one. You may see a lot of like franchisor relationships, right? There's a bill going on right now that franchisors will be responsible for everything the franchisee does legally, which basically will destroy the franchisee model. So there would be no franchisee. So yeah, stuff like that, employment laws. There's a lot of environmental stuff that doesn't affect us directly, but indirectly it does. Yeah, so it's just a total gamut of things, total bunch of stuff. Yeah, sure. Anything else?
Thank you, Joe.
No?
Any
Okay.
other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Monday. And then we're moving to the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to comment on item number 3? No comments. I request a motion to accept and file the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion.
I need a second.
second.
Madam Clerk?
I will now open the voting and will conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Klinger,
Yes.
Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Chair Snyder,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And then now we are gonna have the presentation on the street vending and I invite management and analyst Alicia.
Alicia, yes.
Alicia Zuniga.
Good morning, everyone. You have me today instead of Valerie. She could not be with us today. This item was requested by the chair and seconded at the last meeting to be put on today's meeting agenda for further discussion and information on street and sidewalk vending. This presentation was given last year as well, so this information should look pretty familiar as much of the regulatory information at the state and local level is pretty much the same and hasn't changed. Under Title 10 of the Glendora Municipal Code, both street and sidewalk vending are permissible. Code 1076 being specific to street vending and 1077 to sidewalk vending. Having been adopted in 2020, the city sidewalk vending ordinance is a newer code under Title 10 of the GMC and was a direct response to Senate Bill 946, which was approved in 2018. The bill prohibits local agencies from broadly prohibiting or limiting sidewalk vendors, provides economic opportunity to those who may need it, as well as enables the ability to include necessary regulations to address health, safe, and welfare of the public. In order to differentiate a street vendor from a sidewalk vendor and vice versa, this slide and the next will go ahead and define both per the GMC. With that being said, a street vendor is defined as a person who sells any goods or merchandise to the public from a vehicle or commercial vehicle. Excuse me. So here we have a couple of examples. The first being an ice cream truck on the upper left corner, and then to the right and below a truck which appears to be selling flowers, and then a food truck. The last two being the types of street vendors I believe prompted this specific agenda item. And then we have sidewalk vendors, which are defined as those who sell food or merchandise from a push cart, stand, display, pedal-driven cart, wagon, showcase rack, or other non-motorized conveyance, or from one's person upon a public sidewalk. So here we have a fruit cart, a ice cream cart, and then we have flowers on the sidewalk there. To conduct either type of vending, a permit is required. In order to obtain a permit under the city's GMC, an application is required to be submitted. Once a permit is obtained, street and sidewalk vendors are to abide by a set of operating requirements and are prohibited from certain activities. A failure to do so may result in penalty to the vendor under the GMC. Applications specific to street vendors looking to be permitted call for a number of requirements. The first being a vendor ID description, as well as a description of the vehicle they'll be using. The application also requires a vendor to undergo fingerprinting and a background check, as well as show proof of insurance and provide payment of the application fee. Permitting is required for all vendors and is valid for 1 year. It must also be renewed annually, so every year they would have to apply for it. Once a permit is issued, the vendor is issued a vendor ID card that includes the vendor's photo, which makes it easy to identify if any said vendor is in fact permitted. In regards to regulations and operating requirements, vendors selling food are required to have a valid Department of Health sticker issued by the county. And operating hours would be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, Sunday, and holidays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Street vendors must be legally parked and may not operate outside of regulated hours. Street vendors are also required not to park within 1,000 feet from a school. Do want to note that vendors may vend from a private property with permission from the property owner. Should a vendor not abide by the aforementioned regulations, there are remedies for those violations and possible revocation of their permit. A vendor's permit may be revoked, and in the event that happens, the vendor will be asked to discontinue vending and to vacate the premises. Failure to stop may lead to the impounding of the vendor's property, and that would be done at the vendor's cost. After a vendor's permit has been revoked, they would not be able to apply again for a whole year, I believe. Moving on to sidewalk vending, which is very similar to street vending. It also requires a permit and is permissible on sidewalks and walkways. The application for a permit requires a vendor ID, description of their vending cart, proof of county health approval if food is sold, and lastly, insurance and payment of the application fee. Again, a permit is required, and like street vending, it must be renewed annually. Stipulations on vending devices include size, which is limited to 3 feet in height, width, and depth. And those selling food are required to have a trash container and cannot dispose anything into the city's trash receptacles. Vending stands may only be on sidewalks or walkways that are a minimum of 8 feet in width, ensuring that there is an accessible path for the ADA requirements so that the public is able to walk through. Vending stations are also prohibited from having any type of sound system, and the hours at which they can operate are depending on where they're located. So if in a residential area, the hours of operation would be from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, Sunday, and holidays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if in a commercial or mixed use area, the hours would be from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. or consistent with the operation of businesses in that area. Here is a pretty extensive list of prohibited activities and locations for sidewalk vending. They cannot vend to people inside their vehicles. They must step outside of their vehicles to make a purchase. They cannot be within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, driveway, or bus stop. They cannot be on public property that is not a sidewalk. And there are a few additional prohibited activities which are shown on the screen and are included in your packet. The next most notable one being the violation of ADA regulations and not having a proper clearance of the sidewalk. Those who violate any of these regulations will receive a violation, and upon the 4th violation within 1 year of the first violation, the permit shall be revoked. So just a quick look at the current permitted vendors in the city of Glendora. There are not too many, but just to go over a few of them, or actually all of them. We have 6 street vendors, 3 selling flowers, 2 operating a food truck, and 1 ice cream truck. And then we have 3 sidewalk vendors, 3 of which sell flowers, and 1 is currently in the process of getting their permit, and I believe that is to sell fruit. This does conclude my report. Jeff and I are available for any questions should you have any, and if not, this is going to be a receive and file report. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments of Board Member Jarvis?
No comments.
Board Member Nolan?
Yeah, a couple of questions here. So on the street vending, let me get back to it here. The street vending, the operating hours are 8 to 6, Monday to Friday, 10 to 6 on Saturday, Sunday, holidays. And on the sidewalk vending, similar hours, except if it's in a commercial mixed use. So is that the same with both or only for the sidewalk vending?
I believe it's specific to the sidewalk, and Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's right. The hours are a little bit different for a street versus a sidewalk vendor.
And when somebody is on private property, they don't have to have the permits or anything then?
No, they still have to have a permit to operate on private property.
And who monitors these things and who goes out and checks on them and that?
I think it's inquiry based.
Yeah, if there's a complaint, then usually code enforcement will respond.
So it's a code enforcement thing. It's not the police department thing. I guess that's part of the police department. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and usually they'll go out and they'll make sure that they're properly parked, or, it really what they're doing is they're checking to make sure that they have a city issued street vendor or sidewalk vendor permit.
The one over here on Route 66 is they're way past 6 o'clock every night. But they've moved now from the street into the parking lot.
Right.
So does that mean they don't have to follow those rules? That's what I was getting at, I guess, with the. Not even that it affects me. Just, I mean,
nobody's ever complained about that one,
Yeah.
but I think probably I'd have to reread the code, but definitely those are the hours for selling in the public right of way.
Okay, I think that's all I have.
Board Member Davis?
Yeah, I had similar questions, but who would you call
Yeah,
if there
yeah.
was a, an ice cream truck parked on Glendora Ave or something like that? And someone had an issue with it, you would call the police.
Yeah, and then code enforcement would respond.
And then the 6 PM limit for it would mean that if we had a twilight event and wanted to have a taco truck come to that, it wouldn't be able to be there legally past 6 PM.
No, if it's different, if they're part of a special event, like the Twilight, or let's say, I've seen like food trucks at like open houses at schools and things like that.
Right.
Then they're just covered by any permits the city has issued or approvals for that event. They're not, it's not the same as somebody saying, oh, I'm just gonna park here and, sell food or whatever. That's different. And that, because special events are limited on frequency and duration also. It's a different permitting process.
Got it. So then, again, if we were gonna get a food truck, would we need to cross-reference, the list of approved vendors for that? We couldn't just call any food truck or taco truck and have them come.
For a one-time event, I think you could, yeah, for a one-time event. But if they wanted to sell independent of that and, come back and just park their truck or whatever at any time, then they need to get a street vendor permit.
Got it.
Board Member Singer? Thank you. I do have a question regarding the number of like flower vendors and everything. Not referring to the fire truck per se, but like on Grand Avenue, I have proof of like pictures and everything. How they are all set up from south of the 210 all the way to Oakdale Cemetery. So are those being regulated and everything? Like, I mean, there's more than 3. I have like, pictures and pictures and pictures, and they are there every day. So are those people regulated? I mean, I don't want to be like the fire police or anything.
No, I
like
think-
that.
I
And I
think-
mean, I honestly, that's not my case. But like, I also feel like we're paying like our taxes, our licenses and everything. And for me to be the fire police, it just, I mean, I'm totally for people selling and making their living and everything. But then at the same time, it's like, how do we address this? I'm not gonna be reporting it all the time.
Well, like I said, to the extent that anybody calls on a street or sidewalk vendor, code enforcement will respond and verify that they have a city issued, permit to operate.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one further question. There's no rules as far as where they can go. So I think this is what Delilah and I had asked about in the last meeting was we pay a premium to have our business in the village here, i.e. the business being part of the business improvement district and that. But they can come along and just park down there and they don't have to pay anything different or whatever to be in the village here.
That's correct. I mean, if you're like a street vendor or a sidewalk vendor, there are regulations on where you can be, but if you can park or set up, within those regulations, you can do it in the public right of way, either on the street or the sidewalk, depending on your permit.
And there's no way to set up anything like that, to where they would have to pay a premium to be in a certain area now.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because usually the reason, and I think the issue you bring up, usually the complaint about street and sidewalk vendors from the brick and mortar businesses there, wherever it is. I think this is a statewide issue that, wherever you have street and sidewalk vendors, the brick and mortar businesses are saying, hey, I'm paying rent, I'm paying insurance, I'm paying for employees, et cetera, et cetera. And so what the state has done to sort of limit cities on how they can regulate, street and sidewalk vendors, they're basically said, you can, dictate sort of basic health and safety, life safety issues, ADA issues, but you're limited on how you can regulate where they vend. It has to be like, for example, street vendors can't park on a street and vend where the speed limit is over 35 miles an hour. So that's directly a safety issue, or next to fire hydrants or things like that. But other than those types of things, that's what we're limited in our ability to, to regulate their location.
And are there any other boundaries on, I mean, I think what we're getting to is like, could a food truck park in front of Village Eatery or any of the restaurants downtown? Could a flower truck come and park in front of any of the, but are those spaces big enough? Could they actually do that? Or are the spaces in the village not big enough for them to park a truck?
No, it's a parking space
Yeah.
and you're legally parked, so.
There's a
yes.
flower truck that is already doing it
Got
in
it.
the
Okay.
village. So yeah, that's how this all came about. Yeah. Mhm.
But we do have parking regulations in the village and we do have 2-hour parking. So if they go beyond that.
3
2
hour.
Or 3 hour.
Yeah, depending on the space, I think it ranges. There's 20-minute spaces, there's 1-hour spaces, there's 3-hour spaces, and I think also 8-hour spaces in places, so.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alicia, for the report. I make a recommendation to receive and file the report.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion was received. Motion was made by Board Member Jarvis and seconded by Don Nolan. I'm sorry, from Chair Nolan. I will now open it for oral roll call. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Klinger.
Yep.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Chair Snyder.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Now I invite management analyst Alicia Zuniga to report regarding the discussion on marketing parameters for social media marketing. And this was requested by Snyder and Nolan. Is that the same thing? This is.
No, it's a
this is
different
the
item,
second
yes.
one. Yeah, okay.
So hello again. This item was requested, as you mentioned, at the May meeting and is prompted by the recent use of the bid social media marketing. The bid currently contracts a marketing consultant that manages the website as well as social media accounts. And the concern comes primarily from the mentioning of businesses not within the business improvement district that are being marketed. So kind of piggybacking off of the previous item. So at this time, staff is asking the board to go ahead and discuss whether or not outside businesses can be highlighted to promote a special event in the village, keeping in mind the value it does bring to businesses that are holding special events. And on the other end of that, also realizing that it does bring competitiveness to the village for those that do have a brick and mortar business. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to the board for discussion.
Board Member Jarvis?
Nothing at this time.
Does anyone have an example of?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I think the example that we talked about before was like Southland Properties inviting Kona Ice for for a special kind of family thing, or a Mother's Day, ice cream, something or another. And then social media sort of picking that up and then highlighting and featuring it. It's fairly, well, I didn't put this on the agenda, so that was just my recollection of our conversation last time.
I don't recall the conversation from the last
Yeah,
time.
that basically,
was it,
that's
yeah.
what was, that was
don't
about,
have any
like,
issue
like posting things on social media that were, like announcing or promoting other
I
I don't think there's a
merchants or,
problem with that really myself. I mean,
I was gonna say, I don't remember our marketing director promoting that, though. It was more about the co-op at the end of the street that was having a special event and they had different vendors and a flower truck that also they were advertising for them.
So if I could just, a reminder from my recollection, I believe during the board's comments at the last meeting, it was brought up that Louise, who is the marketing coordinator for the bid, was reposting bid members' social media posts that did include other businesses that were not located in the bid, and that prompted a little bit of concern. So we were asked to bring it back to you today for discussion, if that's something that you'd like to see moving forward, if it's problematic, or if it's something that you'd like to go ahead and permit.
So I think that there's some really like clear black and white areas, like totally fine posting about businesses that are in downtown. Totally not okay posting about businesses that are completely outside and have no connection to an event in downtown. And then there's also the gray area, which is like we're bringing in another business to downtown to do a joint venture with Southland Properties. In my opinion, those are like case by case, and we'd probably just have to give her some guidance and tell her, hey, this is specifically for the downtown businesses, the business improvement district. Please make sure that any and all posts are clearly tied back to a downtown business or are bringing people downtown to shop and eat at our businesses.
Yeah, I agree with you in that regard. So then that way is like, instead of being a reposting from the one merchant, is just like posting about the bid members and that they're having an event, but not highlighting other vendors or anything, so.
Correct. So we're just looking for the board to go ahead and provide a few parameters, if any, to move forward, so we don't run into this issue, too often moving forward.
I think Matt kind of hit the nail on the head there with what he said. I mean, recently there's been a lot of posts for Outdoor Elegance. Well, Outdoor Elegance doesn't have a store in the village. And I never saw that it was tied to any other event that was going on. So I don't know if she thinks that they have a store in the village possibly. Because I mean, it's been on there quite a bit lately, as an example.
Yeah, I think we just need to revisit and then like maybe create like, again, like just like another conversation where she could possibly, we can invite her to our next meeting and then go over like those guidelines. And also because there has also been posts about like businesses that were or have been closed or have changed, and then they are reopening and different things. So I think it's important to have like a little bit more of current events. And then the guidelines in terms of what Matt was saying, like that gray area, not reposting, but just giving her the guidelines, because obviously if she doesn't know, she doesn't know. And it's just for us to just like, give the guidelines and keep moving forward, and obviously promoting all the events, because the more events we have in the village, the more exposure and the more, people are going to come and visit all of us.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, is there going to be a motion to bring this back with Louise attending, or how would we like to move forward with this?
I would like to.
The whole point was to have this discussion now so we could set the guidelines.
Yeah, but she needs to be here, correct?
No, she doesn't need to be here for us to set the guidelines for her.
That's up to the board. If the board would like her to come, we can let her know that her presence is requested. I believe she was invited to today's meeting, and I don't believe she's on Zoom. But yes, that was the intention of today's meeting.
It looks like the last 20 posts have all been about downtown businesses. I'm having a hard time finding any. I'll keep looking.
And also, just to specify too, Southland Property hired the Kona truck and they weren't here selling shaved ice. They were giving it away for tax day. So that was just a service promotion that Southland did for our community. So nobody benefited from that, other than the advertising for Southland and the Kona truck. But I mean, it was
That's just the example that we're.
yeah,
that we're
I know.
giving.
I just,
Nobody's
wanted
upset
to
with
let you
Southland
know.
Properties.
That kind of goes back to what Matt was saying, that there's the black and white and then there's the gray area. And I would say that was more fit into the black and white area,
There is a conversation that we could have even around, the Twilight thing. In a situation like that, you're having live music and you're inviting people to come. The easiest thing is to say, invite a taco truck or invite Kona Ice to come. But is there some vehicle for us to be able to only use the local businesses for that, and talk to the ice cream shop or talk to Frisella's or or Village Eatery, whoever it is, to provide a way for people in that situation to use the downtown businesses instead of bringing an outside vendor. They have an ice cream truck. Look at that. And you found that on social media. How about that?
Yeah, I think we, the businesses or the people that we hire to promote our events that we pay for downtown should be included in the social media. I mean, that's fair. That's one of the reasons why they do it, or that's one of the reasons why they give us a good deal on coming down and not charging us so much, because we can promote them as well. But that's also another reason to look for, local people, local businesses and things to, help out at events that we as a downtown in Glendora are trying to promote other businesses in Glendora, so.
So do we need to put an item on the next agenda to talk about the rules around social media, just so that we have some parameters? What's the
So
process?
the intention of today's item was to go ahead and provide parameters. If you guys are unable to do so, we can go ahead and continue this at the next meeting and invite Louise once again to join us to have a more specific and hopefully goal-oriented conversation about parameters. But I believe this is probably the discussion that was supposed to be had today.
Or what you could do is, since I think I understand what you're saying, it's like, it's easier, if the parameters, like I'm seeing them in front of me, so I know what we're talking about. Maybe what the board could do, individual members go around and say, okay, give us, your top 3 parameters that you would like to see, just generally. And then what staff can do is we can kind of we can write those up for you and bring those back at the next meeting, if it's easier for everybody kind of to read and understand. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I would say if I was going to write them, it would be number 1, posts about businesses in downtown Glendora are acceptable. Number 2, posts solely about businesses not in the business improvement district are unacceptable. Number 3, use your best judgment on posts about businesses not in the business improvement district, but conducting business or facilitating a positive benefit to businesses in the business improvement district. Period.
I agree.
And some rewording of that is probably
No,
necessary.
I
but-
agree with that.
I
That's
agree with
okay.
that.
So you, for example, that would be like the Kona ice
Kona
cream
Ice.
truck, which was part of
The promotion.
the
Yeah.
promotion of a business in the village. Okay.
Be in the gray area. It's like,
Okay.
in my opinion, fine, but other people might have a problem with it, and maybe we just don't post that kind of stuff, or Louise uses her best judgment.
Or would you say that promotion of businesses outside of the bid are limited to specific events?
That sounds even better.
So my take is that we don't promote businesses outside of the bid if they are not associated with an event or business activity that's happening in downtown.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I think we got it. So that's it.
Done.
Yeah, I just think someone needs to make a motion at this time.
Or are there any other
Yeah.
suggestions other than those 3?
I think just being more current in terms of like the businesses that are currently open and operating. Just to keep that in mind. I would just add that.
Yeah.
Where's that list? That would be my question.
Well,
is-
I think we as board members need to stay in better touch with our marketing director as far as, because that's how I felt. I'm like, why does she know these things? But like, part of our job is to, keep her updated. And I did send her a text saying, this business is closed, this business is closed, this business is closing, this business is reopening. We need to stay in better touch with our marketing director so she knows what's happening downtown. Since she doesn't seem to be down here very often.
Well,
that-
no,
that's
even
what-
if you were down here, you wouldn't necessarily, I mean,
You wouldn't
not,
necessarily know.
just in her defense. The website has a similar issue. There's a listing of businesses there and we don't know whether that's current or not, but would any of us know, what businesses are open or closed on that list?
Typically Valerie would like, she was one kind of doing that, like when she would get like the notices, because sometimes also what happens was like, let's say that you have a license that it's valid for a year, but then they close the business, but then the license still valid. So there was like no way to communicate whether that business was continuing or not. So, I mean, going into like a more official kind of, I mean, it's not like a hearsay kind of thing. That's kind of the way we were doing it before. Once like they were officially closed, there was like no license, then that's when it was like.
So I think we can what we can do is, I think we can take those three, and I'll just repeat them for the record in the minutes. One, that businesses that are businesses within the boundaries of the business improvement district, they can appear in social media. That is put out by the bids marketing person. If you are not in the business improvement district, then we don't want the marketing person posting on the BID social media about those businesses. And then third, if the business is part of a bid event or a promotion by a BID business, then the marketing consultant shall use their best judgment in promoting or depicting businesses that are not in the bid but part of that event. Those are the three. And so I think what we'll do is, I think the best thing to do is, that would be the motion to direct the marketing director for that criteria for social media posts. And then staff will write it up and present it to you for at the next meeting for information. But in the meantime, just so we're not having that month lag time, we can provide that direction to the marketing consultant.
If we were to put it into one sentence, all social media content should pertain directly to businesses, events, or attractions in the downtown Glendora Business Improvement District.
Yeah, that's what. I mean,
Concise.
For that last one, yeah, I was gonna say, like, we need specifics, not leave it to her best judgment. Like, and I agree with your,
Is there anything missing from that sentence?
um.
Does that say it all without saying anything extra?
Well, it doesn't, does it specify the events or cross promotion? I think it's helpful to have some of that broken out.
So we want to add some
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a
bullets.
very good introductory sentence with just then
Yeah, then
just
it
bullet
would-
Add the
points.
bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be kind of complimentary with like what he had said.
Okay.
And then also I think it'll be like instrumental, like if she can either, I understand like distance and everything, but like if she could either be on Zoom meeting when we're having our bid meetings and everything. So if she has any comments or anything, like, we can have that feedback from her, what she needs from us, so we can help her more in that regard.
Okay, we'll reach out to her and invite her to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, was she invited to the meeting on Monday?
I'd have to double check with Valerie, but we can extend that invite to her as
Okay,
well.
that's
if
a
she
very
can
good
make it.
Because we'll all be down there, so she can get our feedback too, so.
Yeah, that'd be a great time for her to come as well.
And then, so what do we, are we
Yes.
gonna
Like
table this? or
make a
we're gonna
motion
resolution?
to adopt the language regarding social media and
I'll second.
Can we restate the language just so that we're all clear on what the language is?
including Board Member Klingler's introductory sentence.
And Jeff with words.
Or to understand,
points.
for the motion, so I put it incorrectly. I have it down to direct staff to bring the item for discussion on the next agenda, provide an update on current events, and work with the 3 parameters listed below to create the marketing guidelines, which includes businesses within the bid are approved for posting, Businesses outside the bid are not approved for posting. And the third one is using best judgment to promote businesses outside of bid with the exception of certain events.
I actually think that that's what we were changing that best judgment language. So if that's part of the actual motion, then we would need to revise it.
Are we changing the last one?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Klinger had some language. which-
All social media content should pertain directly to businesses, events, or attractions in the downtown Glendora Business Improvement District.
All social media events should pertain to the,
I can send an email to you if you want. But it's all social media content should pertain directly to businesses, events, or attractions in the downtown Glendora Business Improvement District.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I will save that motion and I will open it up for a roll call vote. I'm gonna show that a motion was made by Board Member Klinger and seconded by Board Member Jarvis. I will now conduct the oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Klinger,
Yes.
Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Chair Snyder.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Now we're moving to new business. I invite management analyst Alicia Suniga to report regarding Business Improvement District Advisory Board fiscal year 2022-2023 and the fiscal financial reports through April 30th, 2023 and BID expenditures for fiscal year 2022-2023 year to date.
Hello again. So this is your regular monthly update on the bids finances, the summary of financial activity through April 30th, which is 83% of fiscal year 23. The total revenue that we're looking at through April is $106,911, which is more than what was anticipated for the entire fiscal year. So you're about 107% of your budgeted revenue, which is great. And then we have expenditures at $68,841, which represents only 59% of the budget expenditures for the year. So way less than the bid was expecting to spend. So that is also a very good thing. By this time, you should see there all of the wine walk expenditures in your packet with the itemized expenditures. I believe that's included there. So everything is pretty much accounted for and similar to last month, the bids finances are looking very healthy going into the end of the fiscal year. So at this time, that does conclude that report, and this is a receive and file.
I request a motion to receive and file this
Can I ask a
report.
quick question, please?
Oh,
Sure.
On the assessments, we're only at 55% and this is through the end of April. So are we saying that 45% come in the last 2 months of the year or?
That would be the ideal hope with the vacancies and just billing. Again, we are not all the way through the end of the year, and the reporting through April 30th doesn't include what was received in May. So that number could be a little higher in actuality to today's date, but that is what we're looking at, correct?
I think what I'm hearing though is we're not going to hit the 53,400. Is that correct?
With the trajectory that's currently had, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think there's always probably there's a delinquency, maybe 10% typically.
Yes, it's 10%.
Every year. So I'm not sure if the revenue budget takes that into account, but that's usually the way I think it ends up.
What's the process for that?
Yeah.
If someone's delinquent?
I believe, maybe Alicia probably would know that better than me because she works in finance or worked in finance. so.
Correct. So the city does work through a third-party vendor who does collect business assessments. And also similar to the previous item that we kind of touched on, some of it is most of it, actually all of it is discovery based. So they go out and they look to see what businesses are currently downtown. Some are accounted for, some are not. It's all a manual process. That's something we could definitely look into. That would have to be brought back and the bid would have to direct staff to do so to determine what businesses are currently active and which ones are not. And then, as Jeff mentioned, there is a delinquency of 10% that we could go ahead and assess if that's what the board would want to do.
Do you know the percentage of vacancies?
I do not. Again, that's a discovery that we would have to ask HDL, who is a vendor that the city uses for business attraction and retention. I'm sorry, not attraction and retention, but just basically to keep record of what businesses are active. So we would have to request them to do that. And that would be something that the board would have to direct staff to do.
And I think the vacancy rate, I mean, I don't think the city knows what the total area, units, square footage of leasable spaces. I mean, that would be a bigger analysis than we're probably equipped to do. But just know that, those who do get a business license, there's a delinquency component to that. And so we may not always hit that, 53,000 every year, be something less than that. I just think that's it's just a fact of life in doing, this type of, budget estimating is that, there's always going to be a delinquency rate. There's always going to be some businesses that may leave during the year and not renew. So I think just anticipate that that's a factor on the revenue side that we have to anticipate, because I think it's been pretty consistent since the bid was formed back in 2009.
And I also wanted to mention too, that the budgeted assessment amount that is included in your annual budget is comprised of the number of businesses that we're aware of that are in the business district, and not knowing the number of vacancies. So it is conservative, but also it's based off of a number that we, like Jeff mentioned, we can't really account for. We don't know how many vacancies are actually out there in the business improvement district.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? We need a motion at this moment. So I'm asking for a motion to receive and file the report.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Second,
I'll second.
A motion was made by Board Member Jarvis, second by Vice Chair Nolan. I will now open it for oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Klinger,
Yep.
Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Chair Snyder.
yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're moving to Glendora Village Crosswalk Safety Demonstration Project, ISED-3, MFSS-3, and IMCIF-3.
It's our strategic plan.
I
Gotta
did.
mention them.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair Snyder, and thank you, bid board. My name is Stephen Matier. The item before you today is to talk about the crosswalk demonstration project that's been in the village since March. And we want to get your feedback today on the future of the project. Lorena. There we go. Okay. That was you, not me. I want on record. This is recorded. Okay. So one of the things that I want to talk about is what is a demonstration project? This is about the fourth one we've done in the city. And I think there's a lot of confusion about what they are, what they do. I'll talk about the specific project elements in the village, the data and feedback that we've got, as well as the project options and our next steps. So first and foremost, demonstration projects are public outreach tools. This is probably the most effective way that we can reach the public and get feedback. When we hold traditional workshops, we maybe get 5 to 10 people. That would be a well-attended workshop for us. By contrast, we've had about almost 430 survey takers, probably double, triple that. I think about people who have just seen this project in the street. So really, this is a very effective way to engage with the public on different types of improvements when what they look like in real life. They're also very easy to implement and they're low cost relative to doing a permanent project. So this gives us time to see what's working, what doesn't, before we spend large sums of money, and then either have to adjust it later or, make changes in the field. As I mentioned, it's to test improvements and to guide our future investments. So within the village at the two mid blocks, which are mid blocks or crosswalks that are between, either signalized or stop sign intersections, we implemented what are called curb extensions. So this brings the curb sides closer to each other. It shortens the crossing distance. We instituted median refuge islands. So in the case here, if a car does not stop for you in the crosswalk, you at least have a safe place to stand, which unfortunately is a rather frequent problem at our two crosswalks. We also put in native plants in the landscape barriers to add a little bit of visual interest. And again, these materials were selected because they were low cost and easy to put in. So why did we choose this project? They're observed large number of failure to yield. Cars often do not stop for people in the crosswalk. There was also substantial damage and repeat damage to the sign. So that's that sign that you see there was probably being replaced once or twice a month, which that trades off with our public works guys going out and doing, potholes and sidewalk repair. Also too, we wanted to select materials that supported the village character. The village is the only pedestrian district in Glendora. So having a safe place for families, seniors to cross in the village to get to their car or to go from their car to their restaurant or business, that's very important to us. We want to make sure it's as safe as possible. So in terms of the data and what prompted this is between 2017 and 2022, which is the most recent data we have, there were 7 bike and pedestrian collisions within the village area. Within the specific area, there were 3 pedestrians that were hit by cars at this intersection. Also in that same time frame, there were 15 failure to yield citations, which granted, when you look at it from it's a 5-year period, that doesn't seem like that much, but most of those were actually in a 1-day enforcement. So if you can extrapolate that, we would probably be writing a lot more tickets if we had a police officer there every day. Also too, there was, I mentioned the damage to the city property. The yield signs were frequently struck, as well as parklet bollards. They've been run over, backed into, and since we put in the striping, we've not had further damage to the bollards, as well as the yield signs, which I thought was which is great. As I mentioned, we actually were able to do more surveys and get more responses. So we're actually up to about 429 responses. Majority of those that took the response are drivers. And the percentages have actually changed a little bit higher in support for both the curb extension and the mid block. But essentially what we've seen is that of the two, the survey takers would prefer to see the curb extensions remain and the median refuge be re-looked at. Most of the comments that in the written section were related to why we needed to do this project and also the aesthetics of it. So that's something that we can easily address if we were to do a permanent project. So the options that we presented to you in the staff report, option 1 is to retain the curb extensions and remove the mid-block refuge island. That would be the closest responsiveness to the survey we did. Option 2 would be to keep the project in its current form until the city can find grant funds to make a permanent improvement. And then option 3 would be removal, complete removal of the project going back to what it was prior to that. And so with that, we would like the bid board to provide direction to staff. So when we go to council with our final report, we can share the bids feedback on this. So that I can take any questions and looking forward to the board's direction.
Thank you, Stephen. Questions from the board member Jarvis?
Oh, I talked to you previously about this, but I like the idea. I think it could look better. So I'm in favor of keeping it for now.
The only question I have is the width of the lanes, especially where the median is. It seems like it gets awfully narrow right there by the vault. Is there any way to do anything with that?
That's a great question. Yeah, that Of all the different street widths, they're mostly 17 feet, except for that one. That one goes to about 11 feet. I'm attempting to meet with the Glendora band directors to go over the parade logistics to see if that does work or not. I'm hoping to meet with them tomorrow or early next week. Yes, the good thing about these is we can always move them around relatively easily. So that's a topic I can ask them.
I saw the fire engine go down one day. It was the hook and ladder and they had a heck of a time getting through there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Foothill Transit make it through there and those are 40-foot buses. So I
Yeah.
mean, it is, it's narrow and that's the point, right? I mean, the idea is that a narrower lane slows traffic.
Mhm.
That's what we want to see.
Mhm. It's a little too narrow though.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the kind of feedback we like to hear, you know.
Mhm.
Board Member Davis?
So for these three options, is there not an option to retain the curb extensions and the refuge islands in permanent form?
That would be option 2, which would keep it as you see it today. And then when we go to council, we could say, you know, the bid wants us to make these improvements permanent. Then that would give us an opportunity to look for grant funds.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think, and I mean, I've said this in person before, I really like the way that it slows traffic down, and obviously there might be improvements that can be made to the island part of it. To me, the most important part are the curb extensions.
Yeah.
Because people are walking, you have to walk way far out into the street in order for cars to even see you. But I also really like the refuge islands, whether they retain their current width or whether they even, become narrower. I think that's just all of it is safety, and all of it slows traffic down, makes them stop, makes them watch, and provides a way for pedestrians to move into the street safely. So
I'm a fan of option 2.
I'm a fan too, so. I think you guys have done like a terrific job in preventing all these accidents and everything, so, I think now is the time to request a motion to receive on file. To accept the, recommendation.
Well, we need, sorry, the motion would be for whichever option the bid board wants us to pursue. Sorry for clarification.
So then I'll make a motion for the bid to accept option 2 as what we want going forward.
I'll second.
And just for discussion, did the board want to consider, I think, board member Nolan's recommendation that option 2, but look at the width of the drive lane at the Village Vault?
We can do that.
So if I need to amend my motion, motion to accept option 2 as what the bid accepts going forward, while also looking at narrowing some of the island to make better way for larger vehicles.
And I will again second.
Okay, so I have a motion made by Board Member Davis and seconded by Board Member Jarvis. I will now open the vote for oral roll call. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Klinger,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Chair Snyder,
Yes,
motion carries 5-0.
Thank you so much.
thank you, Stephen. Now I invite, board members and staff to make any closing comments. Board Member Jarvis,
No comments.
Board Member Nolan,
I have nothing.
Board Member Davis,
Nothing.
Board Member, Klinger?
Nope.
Nothing from me, and it is 9:40. And not having any staff closing comments. It's now 9:40. The meeting is adjourned.